Allocate credit notes to invoices. Once a credit note has been created, and there's also an unpaid invoice on the customer account, to reduce the invoice amount owed, the credit note can be allocated to it. It's good practice to do this to avoid unnecessarily chasing a customer for payment of an invoice that's been credited. Let's start by looking at an unpaid invoice and credit note. To do this, from the Customers module, select the required customer, then from the toolbar, click Activity. In the Outstanding O/S column, an asterisk next to the value indicates the corresponding invoice or credit note is fully unpaid. In this example, we can see transaction 1297 is an unpaid invoice for £250, and transaction 1306 is an unpaid credit note for the same amount. These should be allocated to mark them both as being fully paid. To close the activity window, click Close. Let's now look at how to allocate this credit note to the unpaid invoice. From the Customers module, click Customer Receipt. Alternatively, from the Bank Accounts module, click Customer Receipt. When allocating a credit note to an invoice, as no money is changing hands, any bank account can be used for the allocation. In the Bank Details section, leave the default bank account selected. In the Customer Details section, select the required customer. All unpaid transactions are listed below. In the Receipt Details section, enter the date required for the allocation. If the invoice and credit note are for different dates, we recommend using the later date for the allocation. Leave the reference and extra reference boxes blank, as these will not update on allocation. As we are not receiving any money into the bank account, leave the amount field set to 0. In the bottom half of the window, an unpaid invoice for £250 is shown, along with an unpaid credit note for the same amount. To mark the credit note as paid, click the Receipt box and enter the amount you'd like to allocate. To allocate the full value of the credit note, click Pay in Full. Alternatively, press the F3 function key. Repeat this process to mark the invoice as paid. Click the Receipt box and enter the amount. Or to allocate the full value of the invoice, click Pay in Full F3. Please note, when allocating a credit note to an invoice, as no money is changing hands, both the amount and analysis total boxes should be 0. To allocate the transactions, click Save. If you are running a cash accounting VAT scheme, only transactions with the same tax code can be allocated. If there is a mismatch in tax codes, this message appears. To correct this, only allocate credit notes to invoices with the same tax code. To close the Customer Receipt window, click Close. In the Customer Activity, the Outstanding column for the invoice and credit note is now clear, as the transactions have been fully allocated. To view the allocation details, select each transaction. The bottom half of the window shows the allocation details for the selected transaction. To close the Customer Activity window, click Close.